All right, so we're looking at the 4.4 guided notes, and we are going to graph linear functions. So here I have a linear function, y equals negative 2x plus 1. And so what we're going to do, we can't just graph this yet. We don't have that kind of skill set, but we're learning, so at some point we will. But we're going to try and use this table of values to come up with our xy ordered pairs. So let's try some numbers here for x. So I'm going to do negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So I'm going to let x equal these numbers, and I'm going to plug them in here and figure out what I can get for y. So when I plug a negative 1 in here for x, I get y equals negative 2 times negative 1 plus 1. And negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's going to be my y value. So my xy pair is going to be negative 1 comma 3. And now when I plug a 0 in for x, so negative 2 times 0 plus 1, well, 0 times anything is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. So I get 0 comma 1. And let's plug a 1 in there, so I get y equals negative 2 times 1 plus 1. And negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, and negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So I get the point 1 comma negative 1. Now if we plug a 2 in, I get y equals negative 2 times 2 plus 1. And when I say negative 2 times 2, I get negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So I have the point 2 comma negative 3. Now I can plot these points. So negative 1, 3, it's negative 1 on the x-axis, 3 on the y, and I get a point here. And 0, 1, that's 0 on the x-axis, 1 on the y-axis, and I get a point right here. And 1 on the x, negative 1 on the y, gives me that point here. And then I go 2 on the x and negative 3 on the y, and I get this point here. And wouldn't you imagine that it's going to draw a straight line for us? So I'm going to start here and draw my line this way. And that way forever. Put my arrows on it. And this is where we want to use a straight edge. So get your straight edge out and connect the dots with a straight line. Because these are linear functions, it is a line, so we want to make sure that whenever we graph it, it turns out to be a straight line. Okay, so let's try the next one here. Y equals 1 half x plus 2, or minus 2, excuse me, 1 half x minus 2. Same idea. I'm going to make this chart here, and they didn't provide us a nice fancy chart, but this is my xy pair. Ordered pairs go in parentheses like that. And here I have y equals 1 half x minus 2, and here's my x values. Now here I'm going to get a little fancy with my x values. Because I am so fancy, you already know. How does the rest of it go? I'm so fancy. You already know. Anyways, but who cares? What I know is that I want to pick even numbers because I'm going to take half of them. You know, I don't want to put a 3 in there because then I get 3 halves, and that's a fraction, and I don't want to mess with those. So I'm going to say negative 4, negative 2, 0, and 2. Let's try these numbers out and see what we get. So when I plug a negative 4 in there, I'm going to get y equals 1 half times negative 4 minus 2. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. So negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. So here I get the point negative 4 comma negative 4. And I plug a negative 2 in there. Well, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So I get y equals 1 half of negative 2. And then I take 2 away. So this is negative 1 minus 2. So I get negative 2 comma negative 3. And I plug a 0 in there. I love using 0. Anything times 0 is 0. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. And then we can plug 2 in. And then I get 1 half times 2, which is just 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So I get 2, negative 1. And these points I can plot no problem. Negative 4 is this guy right here. Negative 2, negative 3 is this one right here. 0, negative 2, and 2, negative 1. And we can see our line starting to develop here. So I'm going to go get my line, get your straight edge out, and let's draw that line. Not perfect, but it's at least straight. All right. All right, let's try one more. One more here. I don't have a fraction, so my x values aren't going to be particular, so I can use anything I want here. My x values this time, let's do negative 2, negative 1, 0, and 1. And we say y equals 3x minus 4. So here y is going to be 3 times negative 2 minus 4. Ooh, this is a big one. No, negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. So negative 2, negative 10. Okay, that's 1 point. So let's plug in a negative 1. Y equals 3 times negative 1 minus 4. Negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. And y equals 3 times 0, which is easy. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. And y equals 3 times 1 minus 4. And 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Okay, I can plot these points. Negative 2, negative 10, that's way down here. Negative 1, negative 7. 0, negative 4. 1, negative 1. And now I can draw my line. Goes through all those points. Boom! Got it. Feeling real good. Oh, that's supposed to be an arrow. I got sloppy. I'm sorry, you guys. Alright. Okay, so what should we do for homework? Homework. Probably shouldn't sing. Well, let's start with that. Alright. So, our homework for this section is 4.4 now. Nine through 20, let's do this. We're going to be on page 257. I want to do 9 through 20. All, by the way. That is an all. And I like problem 36. Alright, so I want to do these problems for our homework. And we'll discuss more in class.